Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and others who do not identify as such. Welcome to the MicMe TV show, episode 3. I am your host, Jimmy. What up, Moist Nation? All right, let's get into the show. So, we're going to go over American Burnout. And the death of long-term thinking. We're going to talk about some causes of that. We're going to talk about the emotional and cultural reasons behind that. Then we're going to get into some of the systematic reasons that lead to this decay in the short-term thinking, try to connect those ideas, and then we're going to finish up with some happy positive news about the return of killer clowns. It's going to be a good time. The NBA playoffs are going on. I was watching a playoff game, I'm pretty sure between the Pacers and the Cavs, and I was doing my best to enjoy the basketball game, despite everything going on in the world right now. And so I'm sitting there watching Tyrese Halliburton throw up his broke jumper that somehow goes in every time. It's really a sight to behold. And, and then we cut straight from basketball to an insurance ad, and I was thinking it was Geico, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Now that I actually like think about it, but because it was homeowners insurance, and I think Geico, most of the Geico commercials I've seen are either the gecko walking around, or it's usually a focus on auto care, auto insurance. So, nameless insurance company. There's this ad, right? Okay, and it's a big house. It's a nuclear mixed race family sitting around the table, and nothing wrong with that. That's it's just it's a display of the curated nature of these advertisements, I would say. And so we see these two kids, happy couple, eating like a freaking Sunday roast. Like, I wanted some. And just it made me I don't know, like, in a broad sense, it just made me think about the disconnect between that message on screen and the image that we're seeing, of America, of a family, and, what's really going on in our nation right now. And especially, like, I can speak to my own friends who are now nearing their 30s, and, I only have one friend that I'm close with who's married, and he's a great guy, super, super happy for him, but it just speaks to the, not everybody's living that life that these companies are telling, are like projecting to you, or this kind of this American dream marketing sort of. It's almost like the American dream has become a brand now, and not so much a belief amongst just everyday people. It's this like idea of a happy family, dinner on the table, affording a house, all these things, and it seems to be this idea that's almost like kept alive by these companies marketing it to us, and kind of selling us that we can get there through hustle culture, whatever it is. But in reality, that image that they're showing us in that commercial doesn't exist in today's world like it did maybe when our parents were growing up, or for sure, it's just not a one-to-one reflection of what those companies are telling us it is. So that basically got me thinking, and it brought me kind of to the main thesis question of today's episode. So I talk to people my age, I talk to people older than me, I talk to people younger than me. I'm a GTA, so I get a lot of viewpoints of the up and coming generation. I teach 18, 19 year olds, teaching English at a college, and so why does it seem at Wichita State? You can probably tell by my hat. I was going to say a college, but then I'm like, damn, I'm already outing myself right on top of my head. So why does it seem like everyone knows the future doesn't look great, but we all seem powerless to do anything about it, right? There's this like disconnect there, and it's similar to, I think, that ad. It's like it's selling us this idea, even though the people who are receiving that message are like, that's not right. That doesn't relate to my experience at all. everyone kind of knows that the future doesn't look amazing, but we're still chugging along to it. So that brings me to this image here. Feeling bummed. You're not alone as the US drops to a record low in the World Happiness Index. So don't be fooled. These four happy or I don't she doesn't look that happy, but these four happy women enjoying a drink, enjoying a party. These are people in Finland. So Nordic countries continue to dominate the rankings, while Afghanistan is once again the world's unhappiest nation, and America drops to a record low. So what I'm saying isn't just an individual feeling. This is something that our country is feeling. We're feeling that that image in that ad is not our lives. We're not feeling fulfilled. We don't have families. We don't have a Sunday roast on the table. And people are getting to their wits end about it. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this feeling of American burnout, the reasons behind it, or the emotional reasons behind it, and then transition more into like the structural reasons behind it, and then we'll talk about some clowns, I promise. So let's oh, Mr. Kitty had something to say. So let's talk emotional. I did not know that there was a term for this until I was doing research into this episode. There's a dating recession going on in America right now. In 2022, nearly half of US adults under 30 were single, up 6 points from 2019. And this is growing, especially since COVID. COVID was, it like apparently disrupted dating, made everybody get online, and that brings up a whole other issue, right? Because a lot of the dating now being online, you're not forming, actual good in-person relationships. You're getting stood up. You're just it's all looks based. There's no way it couldn't really be when it's all virtual. So there's that aspect. There's the emotional aspect, and then the family aspect. When people can't afford these things that we were talking about, and I don't want to. I don't want to pick on my friends here, so it's hard to use like these specific examples from my life, but I can just speak to a lot of people I know are in financial situations where they feel like that is so pressing on their lives, it's such a burden that they can't escape out from underneath it to really focus on these things that make life worth living, right? Like a family, like hobbies, like friends, all this stuff. And the older I get, the less you see your friends. Um, you're working more, you're trying your best to buy into this hustle culture so that hopefully you can watch a NBA playoff game without hating yourself every single time an ad comes on and they show you the life you should be living as an American, and your life doesn't equate to that. And if your life doesn't equate to what these companies can, make money off of, then there's no reason to give you any representation. Does that make sense? That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And so it's not just this emotional decay caused by, a lack of money, this transition of relationships going online, dating, even, whoa, kitty cat. Oh my gosh. You just jumped on the bookshelf behind me and knocked over the Polar Express. Santa's gonna be upset. He rings the bell for all children, but not my kitty cat. For my cat has disrespected Santa Claus, and that is that. All right, so cultural decay. Let's talk about movies and books. I was looking this up, and post-COVID, it's actually insane. I'm forgetting the exact statistic, but it was something like more than half of the movies now and this is just anecdotal too, because I'm sure you can base this off your own experience, your own times going to the movies. More than half of the movies that come out today are either sequels or extensions of of like franchises. So, you know, like all these Marvel movies, it's existing IP. So you're not like introducing new things to the culture. You're just like conglomerating the top dogs and then regurgitating it. Because over time, the cat, come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh, that face. He's being such a nub. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him good. But so yeah, it's just there's less independent films, there's less independent books. You walk into a Barnes and Noble nowadays, and every single book looks like a freaking like My Story. Wasn't that the old app back in the day? Wasn't that what it was? My Story app. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna lie, like that was I played that stuff as a child. That was low key pretty fun. But not when you're in Barnes and Noble. You don't want those stories there. You want like new stuff that contributes to the culture and isn't just there to make money. Because that's unfortunately what I feel like a lot of this sadness kind of boils down to as well. It's that there's no room for anything in life besides money now. You go to the Barnes and Noble, it's like I can find a fun, unique book, but it's probably not printed in the past couple years because especially post COVID, you know, these companies aren't going to be taking risks like they used to, and I think that just contributes to the cultural degradation, which then, in you know, in turn contributes to this emotional degradation. And cat, now he's effing with my wire on my head. Come here, buddy. Come here. Say hi to the people. No, you want to sit underneath me? Okay, enjoy that. And so, all that's going on, right? And then that got me thinking, it's like, okay, why are we so powerless in that? If we know we don't like, you know, the direction of our culture, if we know we don't like the direction of our relationships, come here. Come here, buddy. Oh, say hi to the people. Give me a meow. Meow to the mic. Whoa, don't grab it. Meow, 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 meow. Can you say something, buddy? Why are you just pawing? All right, down you go. Okay. I don't even know what I was talking about. I mean, I kind of do. We're going to move on to the systematic short term thinking aspect of this so we can kind of wrap up our talking point, put this all together with a nice little bow. And this kind of gets into let's talk basketball again because this gets into why we feel so again powerless within this. If we know we don't like the future of our culture, if we know we don't like the future of our relationships, if we know we don't like the future of our world in a broad sense, why aren't we doing anything about it? And I think it comes down to how we imagine the future. And this comes down to the death of long term thinking. And this is like kind of the part two of this American burnout machine. We live in a representative democracy. So for things to happen, we need to rely on the people that we elect into positions of power to kind of listen to the will of the people and then enact that will within the broadest and you know most influential places within our government. So, but the problem is, while that's going on, these same people who we've elected are worried about reelection. And I want to talk about how our imagination of what is possible in the future is directly tied to those term limits. And before we go super, super big picture talking about the American government, let's talk about basketball again. There's a video game, 2K, where you can draft a team, manage a roster, compete for a championship, and you're the coach. If the coach doesn't do a good job, he gets fired. Think about a coach's tenure like a term. You get elected for a term, you serve your term, and then you go up for reelection. And the people in one case with government and the I don't know your executives in basketball will decide if you did a good enough job to continue your work. And so while this coach is making decisions that would potentially set up his franchise for the best possible long-term outcome, he's also more focused on retaining his position. Does that so he can be there, eventually when that long-term outcomes comes to fruition. But he's gonna play like if we're in a competitive environment, he's gonna play those veterans instead of the young players who would develop and eventually become stars later on because he's gonna invest in those short-term problem-solving players who can go compete right now to ensure that we get a win so the coach keeps his job. And it's similar if you think about let's talk about like culture or something. So let's talk about books. If I'm working at a agency or like at a publishing house and I see a book that I think is really futuristic, it's ahead of its time, but because of that, it might not have the widest appeal. It might not have the most, marketability or whatever it is. And I'm worried if I put this book in front of the people who have the power to print it or whatever, it gets printed and it does poorly. That's going to reflect on me. So this thing that could be great for our future, I'm not going to do, and I'm going to continue to pump out this short term success that just continues this cyclical, whatever it may be, the cyclical motion of that entity or the society or whatever it is. And you don't actually enact anything with real change for the future. And let's talk about this in terms of our government now, because like we can all remember Obama, right? When he's running, change is his campaign speech, and he gets in and he does a bunch of change, and then the Republicans get in and they cancel everything and do their change. And then the Democrats get in again with Biden and they cancel everything the Republicans did and do another sweeping thing with their change. And then Trump comes in and then he cancels everything that Biden did and now he does his change. So we're it's a twofold problem of people trying to retain their positions along with this short-term cancellation of competing heads of the same dragon. If America's a dragon and we have a Republican or a GOP and a DNC head, they're vying for the same body, and when each one gets power, they're just blowing out, the fire that the other created instead of actually planning towards the future. And that's the issue because when it comes to these things, these emotional and cultural problems we talked about, and especially big problems like this. The world's wealthiest 10% are responsible for 2/3 of global warming since 1990. And here's how much housing prices have skyrocketed over the last 50 years. This is adjusted for inflation. In 1965, 202,000, now 420,000. Housing has doubled. These are the real issues. But to actually get anywhere with that, you need long-term planning, long-term solutions. And when you have two heads of the same dragon who can't seem to get aligned for longer, than it takes to, fulfill their lunch break or whatever the metaphor you want to use, they're not getting along for very long. It's impossible. And at this point now, we've replaced these long-term solutions with very short-term placeholders, with almost like mood management type shit. Like when I get upset about these big issues like climate change, somebody tells me to go relax yourself, go do some yoga and hit up the local juice bar, take your mind off it, because we're so accustomed to this short-term thinking because the short term is what's feasible and allowed within the paradigm of our current society, right? Because what other options are there for me besides to go to yoga and the juice bar to take the edge off? Can I go save the Amazon? I can try. Can I go clean up the Pacific Ocean? I can try. I'm only one man. And the problem is we're not only powerless in this imaginative sense, we're powerless in that capitalistic sense, right? Because we're all living paycheck to paycheck. And when our focus is on paying the mortgage, or not even the mortgage, paying our rent, and not and maybe not even our rent if you're getting help or whatever, but our just our expenses, our daily expenses, whatever it is, you're not going to have that focus on cleaning up the ocean. You're going to have that focus on survival. And so when I think about the US dropping to a record low in the World Happiness Index, it's not this crazy thing that doesn't make sense to me, right? Because it's like, how do you build a culture on Amazon warehouses and Adderall prescriptions? Oh, you're upset about billionaires? Go order this face cream from Amazon. Like that's like that cognitive dissonance won't eat you alive, you know? And so how like that's the problem. And oh, you don't wanna buy Amazon, then go buy local for 3 times the price because all our small businesses that aren't, like whatever it is, artisan have been priced out at this point. And so the only like really the only people buying these small businesses in bulk are people who are working for the conglomerates who are eating up the small businesses. And that's very ironic too. And those people tend to be the ones who are like, "Oh, American made. I love small business," while they're working for a conglomerate that's outsourcing labor, that's creating the environment that's pricing out our culture because these small businesses are our culture. And do you see how that's all connected? We started with emotional decay, talked a little bit about cultural decay in terms of movies and books, but now this economic decay and the government short thinking, the short thinking of job retention, the short thinking of survival in because isn't that funny? It's like we're so focused on keeping the lights on that we can't focus on the fact that we're suffocating ourselves, you know? And to speak more specifically, like with these climate change forecasts, it's strange because you think if like survival was on the top of our mind as a species, we'd be doing something about that. But we've been programmed to be so individualistically minded because that's what serves these capitalistic systems that we can't even get on the same page about saving ourselves from an existential threat hanging in front of our faces like the biggest dong on earth. And I'm sorry to use that example, but I don't know how to be more glaring. And so it's like, yeah, I can survive for the short term, right? I can go work for these companies so I can pay my bills, but it's like, oh my God, the cognitive dissonance of knowing that's only creating the situation that will lead to your demise in the future. You're programmed to buy into this short-term thinking. And so yeah. Why does it seem like everyone knows the future doesn't look great, but we seem powerless to do anything about it? Yeah. Let's talk about some clowns. I need to talk about some clowns. Creepy clown terrorizes Swedish town. This is so awesome. This is so awesome. Brought to our attention by Swedish high strangeness researcher Fred Anderson, the unsettling case reportedly began in early April when youngsters in the Stockholm suburb of Marsta returned home with troubling tales of encountering the haunting harlequin. He chases children and frightens them, resident Therese Tangerstrom lamented, recounting one worrisome incident wherein the creepy clown wielded a fake knife and tormented a 10-year-old girl. Oh, that's sad, but it's still kind of funny. just in the just in the sense that this is abstract, absurd. This is some well, not paranormal, but this is some like this is culture. This is what we need. I don't want to see these damn insurance ads showing me a nuclear family that doesn't even freaking exist. I want killer clowns. This is an accurate depiction, an accurate representation of our reality. This is how we all feel. These big boogeymen running around, and we're a bunch of 10-year-old little girls screaming in fear. This is good. It's not just Sweden, folks. This is not just Sweden. It's happening in New York. And this is why I'm so excited about it. Like we're back, baby. America's back. Albany man charged with menacing 2 counts of weapon possession. The clown mask he was wearing drew attention. The chainsaw he was carrying held it. Oh, what a line. 34-year-old Albany man stopped on Lancaster Street on Thursday, allegedly using a battery-powered chainsaw in a menacing fashion. See, that's a polite clown. Because you could be all noisy with the gas-powered chainsaw. You could be trying to make a ruckus. You could be trying to be a distraction up in those New York streets. But no, he's walking around with an electric chainsaw. I want our clowns, our killers to be futuristic. If you're going to murder somebody, don't do it with a gas-powered engine. Do it with an alternative fuel participle. It's not the right word, but I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was MicMe TV episode 3. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will have another video posted next Friday, not Saturday, 10 a.m. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Take care. Much love.